sponsored by Squarespace, the #1 website platform for entrepreneurs.
Okay. Now, if I could...
Sorry.
Parar por aí. Já estão.
I should have done a pre-clear, right? Now, if I could only use one lens for my studio work, it would be the Canon 24-105 f4. Let me show you why. Now, Ivy will be modeling for me today, so go show her some love on Instagram. So the reality is that if the quality coming out of this lens was straight buns, nothing else would really matter. None of the points that I talk about matter, but I've never gone home and looked at any of the photos that I took with the 24-105 and thought to myself, I wish I shot this on a different lens. That's never happened. The contrast levels are good, sharpness is decent. You know, I just think that this lens is definitely played with that glorified kit lens reputation, at least with Canon. But as long as you have enough light, this lens performs great. Even at f4, you stop down, it gets even better. Of course, you can, with a prime lens or a high-end zoom, you're gonna get better results. And look, if you're in it for the detail, maximum detail, sure. But in the studio where you can get away with not having the very best gear, this is where lighting is king. Lighting is the great equalizer. Another big reason is for the versatility. Now, when you think studio photography, you would think that maybe a 70-200 would be the better option. I don't know about that, but for me, I do like having that 24mm on the wide end, whether I'm shooting, let's say, wide angle shots from a lower angle, getting that distortion. If I'm having the model lay on the ground or sit or lay, I'm able to get over them, not have to use a ladder to stand above them and get some shots from above. And then I can also get some BTS shots at 24mm without having to switch out a different lens, showing the entire setup. And low key on Instagram, you gotta post a BTS shot with your photo. I mean, that's just, that's the bare minimum here. And half the time, the BTS shot would look better than the actual shot, look more interesting. On the long end, on the telephoto end, I have what's what I call the island of flattery, between 85 and 105, arguably the most flattering range for portraits. You get those tight detail shots at 105. I think anything over 105, when you start to get to the 135, it can be good or bad. Sometimes it's a little bit too much compression. You know what I mean? So I think it's just at the perfect range. Now, of course, you can make an argument, and I'm sure you will, that the 35-150 would be better, but personally, I just disagree. It's much bigger, much larger, much heavier. And again, sometimes you don't need that extra at the end there to all the way to 150, Another one is depth of field. Now look, I know that, it's an f4, but you can still get a decent amount of depth of field if I'm shooting at these longer focal lengths like 85 and 105. Now, it begs the question, like, what do you need depth of field for in the studio anyways? And I say, well, I really don't. I would maybe use depth of field if I'm going for a creative look where I want everything else blurred other than the eyes, or if I'm shooting with LEDs. A lot of times I just have to shoot wider apertures, but most of the time I am stopping my lens down. And when you're shooting at more of a telephoto range with a lens like this, if you have something in the background, you're still gonna blur it out more than enough. Another one is the size and weight. By no means is this like a tiny lens. It's 700 grams, but for a zoom lens with this much range, it's pretty small. Even it has some stabilization inside of it, and it balances really well on a Canon camera. I can't speak for the other brands, but this lens just fits it's a nice size. It's a really nice size. And the other one I wanted to talk about is the price. Go on Facebook Marketplace. Actually, maybe don't because it sucks. But if you go on Facebook Marketplace, you can find these lenses, I'm sure, for much less than $1,000. I'm sure a lot of people have them collecting dust on the shelf. So it's your time to pick a lens like this up if you are shooting in a controlled lighting environment. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm making this video, is to remind you that you don't need the very best for studio work. And I'm someone that can use the very best. I have the Hasselblad X2D2 with the 90V at home. That's the best. I could use that, but I will still voluntarily use the Canon R5 II with the 24-105 and have zero regrets in the end. Because, I mean, I'll let my work speak for itself. And it's just a really underrated combo lens here. It doesn't have to be from Canon, it could be from any other manufacturer. So if you're at home and you got that expensive lens in your cart, just take it out of your cart, take it out. There are other things to invest in, okay? Not as sexy, but lighting, grids, B-flats, flags, other things that are gonna make a bigger difference. And none of this matters at all if you don't have an online presence with Squarespace.
Now, whether you want a place to show off your portfolio, you want to start an online store, even a personal blog, Squarespace makes it incredibly easy to create and manage any website. Now, I use them for absolutely everything. My portfolio, my online store where I sell my presets. I even built an entire off-camera flash course all by myself using their templates, their custom fonts, their color palettes, all the cool little graphics, and their AI tools, okay? And I didn't need any graphic design skills to get everything up and running by myself. They also have 24/7 customer support, okay? So no more waiting. Try Squarespace for yourself and use the code Manny for 10% off.